Good day, dear students. Today we are starting the epilogue, that is the final part, the ending of the play. The play started with a prologue and Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and it now ends with an epilogue. So let's see what it is all about. In a way, if you do not read the three acts, but you read only the prologue and the epilogue, you may have a connection. But what goes in between is really interesting because only then you will understand what had really happened in the play and why there is a need for a play within the play. So, this epilogue is actually a play within the play. That is, at the sacrificial altar, sacrificial place, the actor manager comes with a request to have to perform a play. The priests are all eager for it because they have been chanting the mantras for a long, long time. They need a relief and they can't go home, so naturally they have to remain there, and this is entertainment for them. So the king says, no, it's not possible, and will ask the chief priest. The chief priest is Paravasu, and he was about to refuse it when the actor manager tells him that he has got a message from Paravasu's brother, and the actor manager describes or in a way performs the message of Paravasu in the prologue. We have seen that, and that changes the mind of Paravasu, and we have no idea who this Arvasu is, and he had made a slight appearance there, but it is his words that really changes the tone. And we have seen how he is anxious. Arvasu is anxious to have this play, and we have no idea what the play is about. But before the performance of the play, the audience is made to understand what passed between Paravasu and Arvasu, and you will get that in Act 1, 2, and 3. So here you find the epilogue, and the same description tells us what happens when Arvasu puts on the mask, because Arvasu was not permitted to enter the sacrificial enclosure because Paravasu had made the audience understand that a patricide was committed, and it was Arvasu who had done the penance. So naturally, he left it to the audience to assume that Paravasu is the one person who committed the patricide, while it was actually Paravasu who had done it. So he is now slightly afraid because that Paravasu knows everything and he may reveal everything, because even though he is a dear brother and will not do it, and he did not do that earlier. And so here you find a totally different Aravasu, because the actor manager supports him, saying that we can have the play even if your face is not welcome there. The thing is that you need a lot of makeup, and the costume also will be different, will disguise your appearance. And then again there is the mask, and the mask will be put on by Aravasu, and he will be he'll be wearing the mask of Rudra, the demon. And so no one will ever recognize the Brahmin Aravasu playing the role of Rudra, because he dances so well, and the character of Rudra needs a lot of dancing. So here you find that it is indeed a possible uh, a possible thing to have the play performed at the sacrificial enclosure, or before the sacrificial enclosure. So he puts on the mask of Rudra, the demon, and in order to heighten the sensitivity of that, the drums start playing in the background. Arvasu roars and jumps and dances violently, totally unlike the Brahmin boy that he was, because the Brahmins do not dance and jump, and they are not actors. But Aravasu is a Brahmin, but at the same time, he has got the effective combination of knowledge plus the acting ability. And so once he puts on the mask of Rudra, he gets a lot of confidence, and he now acts out or tries to act out the role, and he rolls and jumps and dances violently. And now that he is wearing the mask of Rudra, he becomes or transforms to the role of Rudra. Because I must say that it is indeed the right attitude for a good actor to be there, to be the character while he is playing the role. But once he is outside or once he is away from the stage, he must be able to discard that role and become his normal self. That also goes along with this. And it is very difficult for an actor to come down to his natural self from that of the actor self, and it takes time. And it is said, according to some of the critics, some of the actors or people who had diagnosed acting, they say that it takes almost 3 hours for the person to get into that role, and another few hours to get out of that role, because they are into that role and they have totally become acting plus their voice, their way of speaking, their actions, everything becomes that character. That is the symbol of a good actor. Aravasu is a good actor. So we can see how, as a good actor, he is now into the role of Rudra. He is no longer Aravasu, but he is Rudra the demon, and as such, he dances. The play within the play begins with Visharupa and Rudra dancing, holding hands. Visharupa is the brother, and Rudra is also Visharupa and Rudra are brothers, and Indra is also another brother. But the thing is that they were born to Brahma and they were Brahmins. But Rudra was born to Brahma to a Rakshasa, and so naturally Rudra is not exactly a Brahmin, though by inheritance he is a Brahmin. But Vishwarupa accepts him, and the two of them are very friendly. And in order to emphasize that friendly nature, in the play they start playing, dancing, and holding hands and dancing, which emphasizes their affection for each other. So Vishwarupa and Rudra are dancing, and the crowd is enjoying it. The reaction of the crowd is tremendous because one, they have nothing else to do. The other, it has been dreary days, and they have not seen a play for a long, long time. No entertainment for a long, long time. And so the dancing of Rudra was so very enchanting and endearing to the audience, and there is that reaction from the audience too. And Indra was watching from a distance, and there is the talk to the audience. In a way, Vishwarupa is being introduced by Indra. And how does he introduce Vishwarupa? Vishwarupa is a gentle soul, and he is very good, and as such he is the dearmost of the people and of the gods. And Indra, the elder brother, is so very jealous of Vishwarupa. He doesn't want Vishwarupa to be the focal point of the others. He is jealous and he wants to do away with the Vishwarupa, because this is how the mind of the god Indra works. And God Indra, the character, the actor, walks on stage and talks to the audience as a soliloquy, means the person will be speaking and the audience can listen to it, but the other characters who are there in the play will not be able to hear what he is saying, because it is what is there inside in his mind, and what is in the mind of a character is revealed to the audience through aside or soliloquy or aside. Here in this case it is a soliloquy. So you'll find the soliloquy of Shakespeare is really famous. There are so many other great soliloquy, and you are learning Othello, you will also find Iago and his soliloquy. So here you find that reveals the innermost thoughts of the character, and it is this which they really want to understand. And here you will find that it is indeed possible not to have um, the character judged as such, because we all feel that Indra is a god, and as such Indra should be beyond redemption, or in a way he is the god. But here you find an Indra with the jealousy of a human being and with the cunningness of a god, and he is speaking of Visharupa and his fame, and from that itself it is understood by the audience that there is no love lost between Indra and Visharupa. Maybe Visharupa accepts him as Indra, but Indra has no love for Visharupa and no acceptance of Visharupa as his brother who is famous. So Indra's jealousy is revealed through this soliloquy, and he feels that Visharupa is a threat to his sovereignty of the worlds, and people will accept only Visharupa as the sovereign, and not him, Indra, as the sovereign power. The next thought is how to destroy him, and the best method of destroying him is to destroy him in the fire sacrifice which is being conducted in honor of Brahma, whom he had already destroyed. That is, Indra had already committed a patricide. He had already killed Brahma, and he is now trying to be the Lord of Lords or the God of Gods like Brahma, and to steal his place. But he feels that the other gods will take sides with Visharupa, and because of his character, may have him as the Brahma, and this cannot be done, or this is not acceptable to Indra. So it will be a great threat to his sovereignty of the worlds, and he now thought of destroying Visharupa. And how to destroy him? He must be very cunning in order to bring him to this fire sacrifice enclosure, and naturally there will be a protest from Rudra, and he is calculating all these, and what is there in his mind is being shared with the audience. As a good dramatist, Girish Karnad had used the technicalities of a soliloquy to reveal the innermost thoughts of a person, and this is being done successfully. Indra invites Visharupa to enter the enclosures of the fire sacrifice, but but Indra prevents Rudra when Rudra was about to enter the fire sacrifice enclosures along with the Visharupa. And Indra tells Visharupa that Rudra is a demon, a Rakshasa, and as such, a Rakshasa will try to destroy the fire sacrifice, and he is not a welcome element in that enclosure. And this enclosure is only for the Brahmins, and Rudra is not a Brahmin, he is a Rakshasa. So when he invites Visharupa to enter the enclosures of the fire sacrifice, and when Rudra follows him, because wherever Visharupa goes, Rudra is there with him. And so he doesn't want Rudra to enter the enclosures of the fire sacrifice, saying that he is a demon. Visharupa argues that he is their father's son, and as such he is a Brahmin. But Indra says that we must remember the rules. The pure Brahmin is the only one who is welcome in the enclosure, and the others are not. Maybe he is the son of our father and as such a Brahmin, but his mother was a demon, a Rakshasi, and so naturally he is not welcome in that enclosure. But the main issue here with Indra is that he knows that with Rudra following Visharupa, Rudra will always try to protect Visharupa, and Indra may not be able to kill Visharupa with the presence of Rudra. So he doesn't want any obstacles in his plan, and Rudra is definitely an obstacle. And he knows that Visharupa is so good of heart that he will not think of Indra trying to kill him. And so he can very cunningly bring Visharupa into that enclosure and kill him. But Rudra is a totally different matter. And so will have to fight with Rudra also, which will not do. So he wants only Visharupa, and that too in that enclosure of the fire sacrifice. Remember that this fire sacrifice is already built for the last 7 years. It has been going on to please the god Indra in order to bring down the rain. The country had been without a rain. So here you will find Indra himself coming over, or in the play Indra is there, and he is there and he asks Visharupa to come into that enclosure and prevents Rudra from entering the enclosure, saying that he is not a pure Brahmin but he is a demon, and so he is not allowed inside the enclosures of the fire sacrifice. Visharupa asks Rudra to stand outside. So whatever that Visharupa asks Rudra used to do, he is an obedient brother and he is very much attached to Visharupa. And from the dancing and holding hands, it is revealed to the audience how close they are. These brothers are so very close. But now it is said that Visharupa doesn't want Rudra to enter the enclosures of the fire sacrifice. And no, Visharupa says, "No, you are not wanted. I can go inside." And though Visharupa feels very bad for Rudra when Indra adamantly says that only Brahmins are allowed, he argues, but the argument was quite useless with the cunning of Indra. And then Rudra reminds him of their father's instruction. Their father had created Rudra in order to protect Visharupa. Because the father knows the goodness of Visharupa, he also knows how cunning Indra is. And so he feels that one day Indra will try to kill Visharupa. And because he is a god, he can foresee these things. This is why he had created Rudra. And Rudra reminds him of their father's instruction, and that is to protect Visharupa. And the father had given instruction to Rudra to protect, to be always with Visharupa and to protect him. And he had been doing that. And they were so very good friends also. Maybe this is the first time that they are being separated. And the thing is that their father had also cautioned him that Indra will try to kill him. And Brahma had created Rudra solely to protect Visharupa, and he knows that Indra is treacherous. So Rudra reminds Visharupa of these things. And the innocent Visharupa says, "No, no, no, Indra is that good, and he had invited me, and he had just asked me to come inside and into the sacrificial enclosure, and there is nothing more. And we'll be having a talk, and after that I'll be coming back. So you just stand outside, you can see what is really happening there." But Rudra was not comforted. He knows, he believes the words of his father, and the words of his father had cautioned him about the trickery of Indra and how treacherous he is, and he is arguing with his brother for the first time, demanding that he should also be taken along with him into that fire sacrifice. But once he is barred from the fire sacrifice, Rudra knows that he will not be able to enter that fire sacrifice because with the mantras they will try to prevent any demon from entering that enclosure. This is exactly what Paravasu had done. And so here you will find that replica of that sameness of Paravasu's story and that of Indra is here. Visharupa and Rudra argues. Rudra continuously comment on treacherous gods, and this causes a lot of laughter among the audience because the audience really enjoys such juicy items like criticizing gods and how treacherous these gods are. And now the people, even though the fire sacrifice is going on, they have no belief now in the gods. They try to believe in gods, but their belief is getting thinner and thinner because for 7 years there was no rain, and their family is confronting poverty, and as such you will find that there is no place in their life for a god. And so naturally these comments on gods were indeed a great balm to the audience. They start laughing because it is after a long time, this is the first time they were able to laugh. and this they really enjoyed. And Rudra gives a lot of arguments, and these arguments were all crafty ones, and definitely with the aim of causing laughter among the audience. And there was much applause at Rudra's words because Rudra's words reflect the thoughts of the audience or the people themselves. And then finally, because there is no other option, Rudra obeys his brother and stands outside. And once he is standing outside, he strikes a worried pause in the sense that he is worried that something will happen to his brother. And at that pause, there is a loud applause from the audience because they have taken Rudra into their heart. So even though he is a demon, they had forgotten that he is a demon. Though God Indra himself is there and Visharupa is there, the main applause is for Rudra, who is really playing the role, and Arvasu is putting his heart into that role. He can, and very definitely, in spite of his, in spite of the ache that is there in his mind, in spite of the separation from Nithilai, in spite of the treachery that is done by his own brother. He is now Rudra, the demon, and he is playing that role with a lot of skill. And we have to really applaud Rudra for playing the role to the hilt. Okay. Aravasu, the actor, in an aside, talks to Nitilai in his mind. This the people may not be able to hear, but it is an aside, and only if you are a reader you will be able uh, to understand that, and it may be the audience can also understand, and he enjoys the in the middle of an appreciating crowd. You will find that he is talking to Nitlai and telling her how the audience enjoys his acting, and he wants Nitlai to be near him so that she will be able to share his happiness, share the proud moment of being an actor. And the drama continues with Indra inviting Visharupa sitting by the altar. The altar is there, and the two of them are Brahmins, and it is what is said. That is, the two gods are Brahmins, and maybe there is something there, and we'll have to analyze that later. So the two of them mimics pouring oblations in the fire, and as the Brahmin priests do, and they continue this kind of this priestly duties, and naturally this is indeed something that they are so used to. And so Indra and Visharupa sitting by the altar next to him, and in a way, this is exactly the place that he really wanted Visharupa to be. And then Indra plunges his thunderbolt into Visharupa's back. While all the others are looking on, the people are sitting in front, he just plunges his thunderbolt because thunderbolt is the weapon of Indra. And he plunges it into Visharupa's back. And Visharupa screams. And now the drama, the screaming is there. And you can imagine the people sitting outside and the that is Indra and Indra trying to kill Vishaduba and killing him with a thunderbolt. You know how effective God's weapons are, and Indra had effectively used that thunderbolt on Vishaduba's back, and he screams, and at the sacrificial altar, he is killed, being killed by the god himself. And mind you that Indra and Vishnuba are brothers, Brahmin brothers, and in spite of that, this does not prevent Indra from holding back or doing anything. He kills Vishnuba because of the feeling that he will be a threat to his sovereignty. And so Vishnuba screams, and now the drama is with the audience in the sense that there is total confusion. Paravasu jumps to his feet and the people on the stage freeze. Paravasu speaks, combining reality and the drama. He says, no, 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 it's not like that. No, 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 it's not like that. Maybe it is a mistake, and it's not that it was a mistakenly I did that. And without knowing it, Paravasu was confessing what he did to his father. Because when the drama is like this is exactly what he did to his father. And instead of Vishiduva, his father was not, his father was there and he was talking to Paravasu. And even without giving him a time to think to escape, Parvasu had killed him. So all these were brought to his mind, and Parvasu starts speaking. And when he starts speaking, he was combining the reality of his killing his father, and also that of the drama, that of Indra killing Vishwarupa, of him killing his father accidentally. He says it was an accident, and now the people starts listening. Till then they thought that it was Arvasu who had killed the father. But now when they start listening, Parvasu was telling them that the killing of the father was accidental. And people were just shocked because they are there to watch this play. And now the chief priest is talking something else. And he is now defending Indra. Indra had to kill Visharupa, he says. And he talks about his brother who knows everything and so on. He talks, that is, Paravasu is now talking about his brother who knows everything. And now he is not asking the brother to come up. Paravasu's brother is Arvasu. And Arvasu is there standing outside the enclosure because he was not allowed inside by Indra. And this is all being done on the stage. And naturally, Paravasu had lost count of this or lost a sense of the play or even the reality because his mind was being weighed by the guilt of killing his father. So naturally, he was speaking both the reality and or what had really taken place. The Brahmarachasa who was wandering around, who had asked for relief from this state to Paravasu, hopes that one day Paravasu will be able to save him. But now, when he finds that Parvasu is talking in this manner, combining reality and the drama, he had no hope at all in Parvasu. So he takes leave of the place. He leaves the place. Parvasu also. He takes leave of Parvasu. He understood that Parvasu is not in the right frame of mind and so again reverts to the stage. So from the enclosure, the scene now shifts to the stage where Indra had killed Visharupa. In a way, you find that Rudra was calling out at the scream of Visharupa, and they can't see what is happening there at the sacrificial altar. And he calls out, why, brother, why? You remember why these were the exact words that Arvasu had called out to Parvasu when he was being dragged out from the sacrificial enclosure by the king's guards at the words of Parvasu. He repeats those words, and you will find that Vritra is describing the presence of vultures, kites, and eagles reeling over the sacrificial enclosure. Vultures, because there is something dead that is there for them to eat on, kites and eagles also. And they are reeling over the sacrificial enclosure and waiting for a time to get onto it. And this description is fitting for this particular scene because the people are familiar with vultures, kites, and eagles circling over their area. So many people died of poverty, and the others did not have enough time to dig a hole for them and bury them, and most of them were laid bare. So they become the eating things for the vultures, kites, and eagles. And now there is the eagle reeling over the sacrificial enclosure. Maybe the presence of an eagle is also good for the sacrificial enclosure and presence of something or the other. But it is being done, and you can't show it in a drama because it is not a film. So one of the characters gives a proper description of what is really happening. The same thing you will find in Shakespeare's play, As You Like It, where you find that the characters come on the stage, and for the sake of the audience, they say, "So this is the Forest of Arden," and they continue the narration of the Forest of Arden, which is indeed a beautiful description and one of the finest poetry. And you'll find they compensated for the painted scenery. Here also, the painted scenery of vultures and kites cannot be had because it's an open stage. And so, one of the characters, that is Arasu, that is Rudra, describes the presence of vultures, and they get the feeling that something bad had happened. And even then, it did not occur to them that Indra had killed Visharupa. He minds entering the enclosure. Finally, he just couldn't contain his impatience. He minds entering the enclosure. And so the reality and the drama becomes one. Rudra or Aravasu attacks Indra or actor manager with a ferocity because it is Rudra attacking Indra, not Aravasu attacking actor manager. And actor manager had earlier cautioned him about wearing the mask of Rudra and to have control over the mask and not let the mask control you. So Rudra, that is Aravasu, had forgotten all about the fact that he is Aravasu. He is now attacking Indra, and with a vehemence, all the vehemence that he really had, like he is attacking his own brother Paravasu. And so the actor manager was really surprised because Aravasu is attacking him with a ferocity, greater ferocity, and he is finding it very difficult to contain that. And he is playing the role of Indra. And suppose Indra goes down by the attack of Rudra, then it will be the end of the play. So it can't happen. Indra is the supreme god. So he must have something on his own to protect from these attacks. So the actor manager runs from the enclosure. Rudra chases him, and that is Indra. And to Rudra it is Indra, and to Aravasu he is no longer Aravasu. He has become totally Rudra, and so he is running after Indra, forgetting the fact that it is only a role played by the actor manager. This is what the actor manager had earlier cautioned him. And so here you will find that the character is being consumed by the person is being consumed by the character. Arvasu is being consumed by the character Vritra. So there is no stopping him. So he chases after Indra, and he takes a torch from a guard and rushes to the sacrificial enclosure. So the real sacrificial enclosure is only for the Brahmins, and Arvasu is a Brahmin. He can enter, and so he goes, and he wanted to punish or to do something, and he thought that he is destroying Indra, and by taking the torch from one of the guards, and goes to the real sacrificial enclosure and set fire to that. So he thought that this sacrificial enclosure is sacrifices for Indra, and by setting fire to the whole things that are there, he is in a way punishing Indra. But in a way, you will find that it is not just punishing Indra, he is taking out all his anger against Paravasu for killing his father, and also by pointing him as the person who had committed this patricide while he is not. And it is all these that is now acting on him. And so you will find that Aravasu is in a way doing a lot of things that he should not have done while being Aravasu. But this mask gives him all the license, the freedom to do as he likes. And so it is only Vritra chasing the god. It is only Vritra who is setting fire. It is only Vritra who is doing all these things. So no one can put the blame on Arvasu. So Arvasu is not thinking in those terms. He had totally become almost demonish, and all the sense of being a Brahmin had left him. and being an actor also had left him. He had now totally become Rudra, and it is impossible for him to control the mass and control his acting. And so he set fire to the enclosure. So, dear students, you will find that there is a merging of the play and the play within the play. This happens at times. So, this is the reason why Girish Karnad had used this technique of play within the play, and it is being effective from this point. In the next class, you will find how effective it is further. So you have seen how the play was formed, how they got the permission, and how they had chosen one theme that is there in the great Mahabharata, and which is similar to the story that they are having, similar to the story of Aravasu and Paravasu. So here you will find that this combination is in a way being merged through this epilogue. So the first part of the epilogue is done in this manner when Paravasu was totally upset by the scene that is taking place before him, and the guilt comes out through him, from him, and even without his knowing, he starts stammering, and the people just do not understand what is happening. He mentions what really happened, and he mentions what Indra is doing here, and so there is a total confusion. And the Brahmarakshasa now understands that Parvasu is no longer safe enough person. Means he has totally gone down. He has totally gone down, and so he is not a person who will give him freedom. So he just leaves Parvasu or the whereabouts. So here you find that it is in a way the reality and the drama coming almost in a coming to a closure, and you find the reality is now being merged with the play and the theme of the play. Okay, so we'll continue in the next class. Until then, goodbye and see you.